Welcome to the party, pal. Your friendly neighborhood Master Chaos here. I hope you're well. Guess what? It's episode 1. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Episode 1, Full Moon Fright Club. Oh boy, have we got some fun stuff to talk about today and in the future. This is going to be an ever-expanding series, of course. My panel will bring their opinions, and then future episodes will be on their show, on their channels. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be fantastic. I'm going to introduce my panel in a moment. Just want to remind you where you're at.
Hail to the king, baby.
Hello, motherfucker.
Let's bring in the panel. First of all, ladies first, of course. Let's introduce Lady ShaSha. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing so well. It's been such a long time since we've chatted. I'm so glad you were down to do this.
I am too, because I love Full Moon Video. I grew up on Full Moon Video.
Oh, God. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm so glad to hear that. Okay, well, we'll be chatting more. Let me bring in someone who's been on the channel before, but not for a while. He's the Magic Man. You know him, you love him. LD, what's up?
Hey, Master Chaos. Good to be here again.
You're the only person I know who has spent the money to spend the weekend at the Star Wars Hotel.
Yes, absolutely, and damn proud of it.
I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you, brother. Let me introduce... I'll save him for last. You know him, you love him. He looks like a monk, but he just likes to be cozy. Brother Chaos.
Hey,
What's up, buddy?
everybody. Glad to be here. Like ShaSha, I also grew up on Full Moon. I think most of us did. And so when you asked me to do this, I was super excited. And I'm looking forward to a great show tonight.
Excellent, excellent. All right, this is the elder statesman of physical media YouTubing, the one, the only, Aaron Pynn.
Aloha.
How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I mean, I grew up on Empire Pictures, and before it became Full Moon, it became Full Moon around the time I think I went to college.
Yeah.
But I love the Charles Band stuff, and I'm glad you chose these two films, actually, especially one, because there's one that I really want to talk about. So thanks for having me on.
Okay. Fantastic. Honored to have you here. Last but not least, my oldest friend, TC, Trekker Chaos. How are you, buddy?
Hey, what's up, guys? Good. Yourself?
I'm doing great. Now, this actually started when you and I were talking about Full Moon, and I said, basically, TC and I, we went to school together for about 2 years, and then we separated, but we stayed in touch because we loved movies. And even though we didn't go to the same school, we'd see each other every weekend. And Full Moon sort of became our favorite company. We were so excited.
Yeah.
The video zones were like the super hype machine. Oh man, look at Mandroid. That looks great. That's gonna look amazing. Yeah. So we were so excited for all the releases, and we joined the fan club. All the craziness you can imagine. So having TC here was a no-brainer. And then I said, well, let me bring in some other people that I think will share in the love of insanity. So TC, I'm very happy to have you here.
Me too, man. I'm really excited for this.
I guess we should talk about the movies real quick. Even though you've probably seen the thumbnail, the movies we are talking about today are and there's a through line, and I'll explain that later on. Talking about Arcade and Trancers 2. Now I picked Trancers 2 for a very important reason. When we talk about Trancers 2, we'll get to it. But let me chime in with the chat here real quick. Griff in the house. What's up, Griff? Sup, everyone. Just finished The Warriors. Glad I could make this live. The Warriors? Like The Warriors? Like come out to play? Or because there's so many Warrior movies. So maybe let me know which one. Ragnar likes Castle Freak and Shrieker. Oh, that would be a good double bill. Double bill. Terrence, what's up? Hi there. Thumbs up. Thank you very much. Yes, please do. Please slam the like. And by the way, Aaron Pynn and Lady ShaSha and LD have channels, links for them in the description. Check them out. Tony T, what's up, Tony T? Casey, what's up? He loves Full Moon. I'm glad to hear it. All right, without further ado, let's pick our movie. I'm so excited because I'm sure we all have a lot to say about every movie, but let's leave it up to chance. What's first? Ooh, the tension is building. What could it be? Oh, yeah. Okay. Looks like we have a winner. I like that they have that fake cheer in there. That's pretty funny. Okie dokie. Trancers Dose. This is. I'll save my comments for last, but I will say, I don't know. I don't want to prejudice anybody's review, so I'm just gonna leave it up to you guys. Lady ShaSha, let's kick it off. What are your thoughts on Trancers 2?
It was very nostalgic because Trancers. I think my stepfather just likes this particular actor, but he used to always watch the Trancers movies in the Doll Man series. so it was very nostalgic watching this again. I think when I was younger, I didn't like Trancers 2 as much as I liked Trancers 1, but now rewatching it, Trancers 2 seems to move a little bit faster, has a better pace than Trancers 1, and also the Trancers monsters look better in Trancers 2 than they did in the original Trancers. Also, the police chief having to come back. I think he's supposed to be like a police chief. He has to come back as like a 14-year-old girl or 13-year-old girl. And that was kind of funny too. So even though I'm not the biggest fan of the Trancers series, I will say that Trancers 2 might have surpassed Trancers 1, or could be just as good as Trancers 1.
Okay. You know what? I forgot, and this was a faux pas on me, because most of the people don't know the movies. I have the trailers queued up. Mm-hmm. Let's watch the trailer for Trancers 2, and then we'll continue with your thoughts, LD, okay?
All right.
My name's Jack Death. I am a trancer hunter from the 21st century. It's been 7 years since I went down the line to old California. Life's been good. I thought I'd singe my last trancer, but nothing lasts forever.
Jack! Vacation's over, Jack. Time to get off your butt and go back to work.
Rabbit, listen to me. I need your help. I'm a special agent on a mission from the future.
I know just how you feel. You're going to be expelled from the Green World community. Do you know what that means?
Help me, please. I'm on a mission.
Are you who I think you are?
Stillwell, Alice B.
Welcome to old California, Alice. I'm your husband, Jack Death.
Oh my God, Jack, it is you. The only man I ever had sex with.
Wasn't that bad?
Get the activists out on the streets. I want fresh blood.
We did it, Jack. We scorched another one. Oh God, how I'd like to make love to you right now.
Jack, you son of a bitch!
Lena, don't jump to conclusions.
You're the one doing all the jumping, Jack.
Why does she keep butting in on us?
Because I happen to be his wife.
So am I.
Ladies, please. Lena, she's my wife. Her consciousness is in another body. She's a trancer hunter, too.
I've had to handle a lot being married to someone from the future, Jack, but 2 wives?
You're in the way, Lena.
I want Jack Death to see his wife become a trancer.
They've got Lena. You know the
It's almost the whole plot.
Yeah, but it won't be easy.
Can you hear me, Jack Death? It can be fun watching you burn to death.
Trancers 2, starring Tim Thomerson of Near Dark, Helen Hunt from Next of Kin, Megan Ward of Crash and Burn, Richard Lynch of The Sword and the Sorcerer.
It was Helen Hunt, yes.
Jeffrey Combs from Reanimator. Trancers 2, The Return of Jack Death.
Jack, the 20th century must be getting to you.
You have no idea.
Hits the feels. And yes, yeah.
I literally didn't have to rewatch this movie. I could have just watched the trailer.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Real quick plot breakdown. The plot's a little complicated, but basically, Jack is a trancer hunter from the future. Trancers are super aggressive zombies that can be used as henchmen and frequently are. Richard Lynch has created a commune of mentally ill people that he's slowly turning into trancers. So now Jack has to team up with his current wife and his future wife to save the world. Which probably was probably an easier sell back then than it is nowadays. But it is what it is. LD, go ahead. What are your thoughts on Transfers 2?
Well, I think I might be at a slight disadvantage because I didn't see Transfers 1 because according to your email, you said you don't need to know 1, so that's why I just went ahead and watched Transfers 2.
Yeah.
I will say, first and foremost, that this movie has what I will say is my new favorite line from any movie. Because when I heard it, I just could not stop laughing. And I had to write it down. And I'll go ahead and recite the line for all of you.
Please.
All right. God damn it, McNulty. The next time someone hands you an exploding ham, I'm going to pass the mustard. I don't know what
I can do that line.
that just sounds like a really great line. I mean, kudos to the writers for whoever wrote that line. It had a semi good pacing. For my taste, I think there could have been a little bit more sci-fi in it, but there was definitely some good action there. I enjoyed seeing Richard Lynch. When he is on the screen, he's kind of like the only person I want to see at that point. Of course, brought back fond memories of Corpses Are Forever.
Yep. We'll discuss that later, but yes.
Yeah, that's another time. What's funny for me is that there are many people in this film who, the moment I saw them, I automatically knew that I hated them. You know, like for example, when we first see Hap, the moment he puts his glasses on and does like his little point outside, I immediately went, I hate this guy.
Oh.
And same thing with Rabbit. You know, the moment Rabbit takes the screen, I'm like, I hate this guy.
Yeah, MC, mute him.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, that's it, LD.
No, you can say whatever you want, LD.
I will say though, I did enjoy the baseball scene with the homeless guys and Hap. I don't know, there was something kind of nice to that. But overall, an enjoyable movie. Like you said, Master Chaos, a bit convoluted the story, but overall, pretty fun.
Great. And I appreciate you taking notes. That's very good. BC.
Well, I'd seen the Transfers movies before, and I was a big fan, but it was such a long time ago. So watching Transfers 2, I started writing down some of the things that came to my attention. The TCL chamber, I thought that was pretty cool. And I wrote down, what are Trancers? Because that's a really unique term, Trancers. And like you said, they're pretty much zombies that can be used as henchmen. And I like how they have that the signature way of killing a Trancer, you say you cinch them.
Right.
So like they die and like they burn up and then they disappear. I thought that was cool. I thought the Tim Thomerson, the actor that plays Jack Death, he's a very lucky man because he got to make out with Helen Hunt and Megan Ward. I thought that was fantastic. You know, very cool. Like LD said, I wasn't a fan of the drunk baseball homeless scene. I thought it was a little bit silly, but it was okay. It was just a little bit silly. That character, Hap, he was okay. I'm starting to like him a little bit more now. After I finished watching the movie, a day later, I had these movies I had them on VHS, so I instantly got the Blu-ray versions of them. I ordered part 1 and part 2, and I'm gonna sit down and watch in order, because watching part 2, you kind of like at a disadvantage a little bit, because I didn't remember part 1. I was a fan of Rabbit. I thought he says he was mentally ill as well, but now he's working in a mental hospital. I thought it's pretty good moving up, and I thought he was cool. You know, he has his lady friend, and I thought that was cool. He has a girlfriend, and he doesn't get to make out with her because she falls asleep when Megan Ward's character puts the sleeping pills in her beverage. So that was, but Rabbit, I thought it was an overall cool dude. You could tell in his face that he was a little bit jumpy, nervous. That character, I thought it was a very cool character. Richard Lynch is always fun to watch on screen. I forgot or I didn't know what happened to his face, because you could tell there's been scarring, and I suddenly thought, oh, this actor probably was burned in the past. So I googled it, and when he was younger, he didn't have an accident, and he was burned, and but that just gives him credence to play villains in films. So I thought that's cool. He has that menacing look, and with the burn scars, that looks, he could easily get to play bad guys in movies, and he's played tons of them. So I thought that, you know, he's doing good for himself, and he's a great actor. He has screen presence, and I thought his character Warrior was interesting. And this movie had a very cozy feel to it, because it was very nostalgic, because I didn't remember the plots of the movies, but when I was watching them again, I remembered the love that I had for these films, and the cheesy. It's not like your typical Hollywood movie. It has a fun vibe to them. All these full moon movies, the early stuff, not like the new Ginger Dead Man and the other ones, which go a different route. Before, they had a very comfy, kind of like my Snuggie, like all the classic full moon movies. I would say they're comfort films. So that's why, as soon as I finished, like I said, said a couple of seconds ago, I ordered Trancers 1 and Trancers 2 on Blu-ray. So I'm looking forward to watching them again. And that's my take on Trancers 2.
Excellent. Just to speak on Richard real quick. From what I understand, he was high on drugs and he set himself on fire. At least that's how the story goes.
Yeah, I did hear that.
Tragic.
But I didn't want to mar his. You know, he passed away.
I know, and we've all worked with. Well, most of us here have at least met him. So yeah, we'll talk about Richard in a minute. Full Moon Horror in the chat. Quentin Tarantino said this about the original Trancers: one of the most original concepts of time travel that I've ever seen in a movie ever. Hey, look at that. Tarantino thinks it's cool. All right, Aaron, let me hear your take on Trancers 2, please.
One, I love the Transfer series. The best one is Part 3. I'm going to put that out there right now. Part 3,
Okay.
you want to see the science fiction aspects of Trancers? Part 3, also best villain, Andrew Robinson. But I really did enjoy the Trancers films. If you didn't like Rabbit, I got bad news for you. Rabbit, the character, is used in a whole bunch of full moon movies. So you're going to see him pop up over and over again, that actor with that same character name, even though what happens in this one, basically, he keeps showing up. No, I overall, I really enjoyed this. I like Helen Hunt, so it's really good to see her back. I do think that it helps to see the first one before you watch the second one, though, if only because I'm getting like kind of the hate, and I understand it if you haven't seen the first one, because this is a guy that was like a Major League Baseball player, and he was kind of down on the dumps, and basically we see him kind of come out and have this kind of big moment in the first Trancers film, which explains what's going on in Part 2 and why he's suddenly hitting the sauce again, basically. One thing that did bother me when I initially watched this film, and that being said, I'm going to put it out there, I really like the film. I do think that there was a ton of really good actors in this movie, and I do think some of them were wasted. We had Martine Beswick in this film. She did not do a lot. Like they said, they mentioned there's like character actress. She doesn't usually do big stuff. Danny Klein, she was like Rabbit's girlfriend. She really doesn't get to do like a ton, but even her, I think, maybe did a little bit more than Martine Beswick did. we got the incomparable Jeffrey Combs, the only person I've ever met in person, and I lost the ability to speak. So that was a thing that happened to me once. But overall, I thought this was a really, really good, enjoyable film. And one thing I have to say, this does have a really unique take on the time travel aspect. Some people say, "Oh, it's a Terminator ripoff or something." No, not at all. Actually, the neat way that they do this is you can't just go back and just go back in time. No, you got to go back in one of your descendants' bodies. So basically, your spirit, your soul, whatever, that's going back. Your essence is going back.
Your consciousness,
not you. And one of the neat things about this film, especially if you watch the first one, because this, like wet hair, dry hairs for squibs. So, which is his big thing in the first film. So when we get to the second film, we start watching it, and his hair is all fluffy and like in the 80s, and that's not Jack Death. Like he's become so kind of like white bread and just so of the time. So when you see him first, and you're like, that's this isn't Jack, and then we finally see him with his hair split back, and then it's like Jack Death is fully there in that point, because that was a big plot point in the first one. Didn't like the dry hair thing. So when we see him, it's just normal now. It's weird. As a Trancers fan. So that kind of stuck out to me when it came to the film. I love Megan Ward in this. She's going to be in both these films. She was kind of young in this one, so it was kind of weird seeing him make out with her. That and the running joke where they're kind of like kissing, and he's married to Helen Hunt, and he's kind of married to Megan. Well, he's married to who Megan Ward. He's married to Alice, basically. But no, I really enjoyed the way that they did this. The only thing that goes against it for me sometimes when I'm rewatching these is I know where part 3 is going. So knowing where part 3 is going sometimes takes a little bit away from part 2, because I'm like, this is good, but I want to get there. I want the giant android robot sidekick. I want to see that. And I'm not sure if anybody else is into the films or saw the third one, but and C. Courtney Johnner directs the third one. I know we're not reviewing that one yet, but it's just when I think Trancers, that comes to mind right away. Actually, did you know that Trancers, the original one, is one I normally like the least out of the series initially? Basically because I didn't go to it first. I went to Trancers 2, and I went to Trancers 3, and then I went back afterwards and watched Trancers. And the reason for that was because the poster art for Trancers sucks ass. It has very little to do with the film. It doesn't make you want to watch the film. And putting that poster art and having Trancers 2 there, because some places they did. Other places you got Jack Death and you got like Helen Hunt and Megan Ward on each side of them, which is cool. Jack basically was a return to Jack Death. So really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the film. I do think that certain characters were not utilized as well as they could have been, especially when you got so many big character actors in a film. Martine Beswick is, again, a favorite of mine. Dr. Jekyll's Sister Hyde. But she was really underutilized here. Even Richard Lynch, who I think did a fantastic job in this film, is underutilized if you're comparing to the villain in the first movie and the villain in the third movie. He just, he's great as a villain, but I don't think they give him enough time to do as much. When he's on the screen, all eyes are on him. But I wanted more Richard Lynch, and I wanted more Martine Beswick. So that if I had to take any negatives out of it, that's my thoughts.
Okie dokie. TC.
Well, that Trancers 2, the Trancers series, just like Aaron said, is one of my favorite, the franchise. 2, I love a lot. And one of my favorite things, and I'm sure you remember, MC, is the bloopers.
Oh yeah,
that, has a line. LD, you mentioned that ham line, which is good. It's a good line, but there's a line in the bloopers I think it's one of the best things ever. Simple, that he's talking off camera to McNulty, and McNulty mentions something about Jack's wife, and he says, "Everybody's my wife," and I thought that was I thought it was funny, but
they should have kept that in the movie.
Yeah, I know they should have. But I think Tim Thomerson's great. Just overall, I like him in everything I've seen him in. He has this certain presence about him, and I think he can do action, he can do comedy, serious stuff, But Trancers definitely, like MC mentioned, it has a special nostalgic value to me and stuff like that. So just watching it made me feel really good.
That's great. That's it?
I don't know. I guess. I mean.
Okay. Short and sweet. Terrence, just sub to you, LD.
Oh, thank you so much, Terrence. Really appreciate it.
Okay. Trancers 2. I wrote this down so I could be eloquent about it. I'm a big fan of this movie. So much so that there's not a lot of space on my walls in my living room, but there's enough space for a Trancers 2 poster. And I've had that on my walls since I got it, since I was a teenager. after I made a connection with that movie, and I've had that poster with me, and I have it. Literally, my TV is here, and my Trancers poster is right there. So it's always with me. There's something about this movie that works, and I don't know why. I don't know why. Here is my thoughts a little more clearly stated. Believe it or not, this is the movie that solidified my path to full-on filmmaker status. I owe it all to the behind-the-scenes included with the film, aka the Video Zone, which we can discuss later on. Making movies look so fun, and I wanted to be a part of that magic so badly that my path was set in stone, whereas before it only felt like a pipe dream. I really love the Jack Death character. He's a little Philip Marlowe, a little Axel Foley, even a little bit of Fletch. Which is very unique, and he's an homage character, but still his own, which I really enjoy. In my opinion, this is the best Trancers sequel because it balances character development, story, and goofy fun, while I feel the other ones got a little too serious. I'm not even going to talk about 4, 5, and 6, who I don't hate, but they're very different movies. Like that gun that makes bullets from sticks, it doesn't make any sense. But whatever. The film is jam-packed with great actors. The amazing Tim Thomerson, the excellent Helen Hunt, the gorgeous Megan Ward, who I had such a crush on. Oh my God, that's the connective tissue for the two movies to kick off this panel series. Was Megan Ward. Two of my favorite performances from her. And I still think she's just adorable. And Richard Lynch is the bad guy who he was in my second film. I got to work with him. LD was on screen with him. I have fond memories of working with Richard. And the reason I wanted him in the movie is because I loved him in this. And so it was nice to see him on screen again. Not only that, you get appearances by a gaggle of who's who. And it's insane how many names are in this movie. Former Bond girl Martine Beswick, like Aaron mentioned. Jeffrey Combs, Barbara Crampton has a cameo. I mean, it's kind of insane, and I love Rabbit, and I love Hap. But yeah, LD, I think maybe part one explained who Hap was and why Jack was, babysitting him, technically. I'm not sure why I love this movie so much. On the surface, it's really goofy and kind of dumb, and I showed it to my wife. She didn't get it, but it's fine. It's just a movie that I absolutely adore. It puts a big smile on my face, and I just think I'll treasure it always. And rewatching it now, I think I connected to what I found in the movie that just really touched me, and I think it was just it's a well done movie, but then looking at it from a filmmaker's perspective. It's also technically very weird, and I think maybe that caught my attention at the time, because usually you don't shoot a movie the way they shot it. This is directed by Charles Band. Usually you don't shoot a movie with the actors looking right at the friggin' lens, as if they're talking to us, which is, disconcerting. The only time I've ever seen it really done to good effect is in Silence of the Lambs. Usually you'll shoot a little off center so that the characters are looking off camera, or you shoot over the shoulder at somebody. But here they're looking straight at you. Everybody back and forth straight at you, and it's a little weird. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I think maybe that's where the connection was. It felt like they were talking to me. And so at that tender moment in time where I was discovering cinema, was I just gonna be a fan, or was I gonna try to make these things? I think having them lock eyes with me spoke to me, and it almost felt like I was part of that movie. I'm like, holy crap, wait a minute, this is great. This is a whole other level. And maybe I just never really connected with that fact that you don't really shoot a movie like that, and you shouldn't, because it's disconcerting for the audience. But the fact that he did it in almost every shot, I don't know. Maybe that was the magic of the movie, and that it needed to be that way to connect with me in that way. And I met Tim Thomerson at Comic-Con one year. I walk up to him. He's at his table, and I go, Mr. Thomerson, I just want to say I love you so much. I think you're so great, and I owe a lot to you because of Trancers 2, I've decided to be a filmmaker. That movie changed my life. And he looks up at me and goes, Trancers 2? Are you fucking serious? To which I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know it doesn't make any sense, but he's like, wow, thank you. And he gave me a free autograph, which was great. Really nice guy, and it was an honor and a pleasure to meet him and have that connection with him. I was able to meet Megan Ward at a screening, so that was cool. Haven't met Helen Hunt yet, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I got to meet Jeffrey Combs. I think I've got everybody in the cast. I haven't met Rabbit yet, but like Aaron said, he's in pretty much every Full Moon movie. He still is in every Full Moon movie. He's in the new Ginger Dead Man, which I think is now called Ginger Weed Man. I don't know. Maybe one of us will pick that down the line. We'll see. But regardless, Trancers 2 is a very special movie to me. And, we can't... Sometimes we don't know why things why we fall in love with the people we fall in love with and things like that. They just work. The movie works for me, and it's top 5 movie forever, in my opinion. But don't let that sway you with your reviews when we do the Moon ratings, which is what we will do right now. So again, we'll go in the same order. Actually, you know what? We'll start with TC and we'll work our way around. TC, out of 5 moons, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best, what would you give Trancers 2?
I mean, a lot of these Full Moon movies have an edge for me, but this is one of the earliest. I don't know if it was the first one I saw, it might have been, but it holds a special place for me as well, so I'm going to give it 5.
5, nice.
Yeah.
And Full Moon Horrors clarifying Evil Bong 8. Thank you. That's I was close, and it had a weed in it. There's a whole weed thing that I don't get. But anyway, Aaron, what would you give it?
Again, I love this movie. It's basically, it's Raymond Chandler mixed with sci-fi and comedy, and Tim Thomerson is the perfect voice for that type of film. So, although I do like Part 3, that's still my favorite. This one gets a 4.
Okay, great. BC.
I just remembered something that I wanted to mention, that I was reading up on the Jack Duff character in a IMDb user review, and they several mentioned that his character is sort of like a hard-boiled detective kind of feel to it, and I definitely picked up on that. I'm glad other people noticed that as well, and I'm gonna give this one 4 moons.
4 moons. All right. And by the way, anybody watching live, feel free to chime in with your rating for Trancers 2, and we will highlight it. LD, what would you give it?
Well, I'd have to say I'd give this actually 3 moons.
Okay.
I do think very quickly I wasn't a big fan of Tom Thomerson, but throughout the movie he really grew on me. He really did grow on me. The only reason why I'm not giving it 4 or 5 is because for me, I got kind of like lost in the story. But I still had a good time with it. So, 3 moons from me.
I don't blame you. Honestly, I felt if I had had no connection to it and I watched it out of the blue right now, it would be really what I think I'd probably be in around 3 moons with you, LD. So for me, definitely nostalgia will play a part. Lady ShaSha.
I have to agree with LD with the 3 moons. I'm sorry, Full Moon Horror, but like I said, the Trancer series is not my... I have other Full Moon Horror series that are my favorites, but Trancers is not one of my favorites. And also, I kept on fighting the urge to pick up my phone and play games because of some of the pacing. So, I feel like all Trancers movies could cut 30 minutes out and they'd be so much better. There shouldn't be Trancers movies that are over 75 minutes long. I feel like that's a good length.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough. Tony T says 4 full moons. Nice. Casey says haven't rewatched the series in a long time, but I remember 2 being more enjoyable than 1. Yeah, I think I think most people will agree that 1 is probably the least interesting one, and the same with Aaron, and I think and with TC. I think I started with 2. I didn't know where to find part 1 at the time, and then later on I found it. But so 2 was the start. Griff says there with BC for 4 out of 5 moons. Okay. So like I said, this movie means a lot to me, and it's not something that I don't expect somebody coming in cold to have the same reaction that I had to it. Obviously, the same feeling to it. Even the people who made the movie. I met Charles Band. He's been in my house, and I showed him the poster. Yeah, he's he's been. Yeah, we did I had a web series back in the day, and we interviewed him. He came to my house, and I showed him the poster, and he goes, "Oh, okay." Again, they.
You keep getting that reaction.
They don't. Yeah, they don't get it. They don't get it. And the same way when I saw Megan Ward, I go, "I'm such a big fan. Transfers 2 is the reason I'm a filmmaker." She goes, "Oh, that's good." And nobody really they don't get it. And I understand it's kind of my thing, and I will accept it. And that's the beauty of movies. We connect with what we connect, and we don't know why. 5 Moons. I love it. It's my absolute favorite full moon movie, and I hopefully will be able to carry it on to another generation with my children. But I'll start with part 1, so they'll feel less confused as we ease into it. All right, that was pretty successful. I'm glad it didn't get any like zeros or anything like that. Tony Man with Lady ShaSha bringing the heat. I love it. I'm glad that's the case. Now let's talk about that was 1991. Let's go to 1993. Talk about the film Arcade, starring the lovely Megan Ward. Yet again, I have a trailer for it. Let me bring it up here. It's a lot shorter than the Trancers one, guys. Actually, a lot shorter. I guess they realized they probably shouldn't tell the whole movie.
Whoops.
In the trailers. Here we go.
At Dante's Inferno, the ultimate video game has come to life.
This is Arcade, and it's all done in virtual reality. It's so real, you'll actually think that you're in the game board.
I am Arcade. If you want to play games, you picked the wrong machine.
You gotta try this thing. And all you need to play are 2 quarters and your soul.
I think the game is alive somehow.
If you won't play the game by my rules, then I'll play in your world.
Now, 2 teenagers will play for their lives.
Kiss reality goodbye forever.
And enter an electronic world where virtual reality has become flesh and blood.
Congratulations, Alex. You've almost made it to the final level.
Arcade. Kiss reality goodbye.
Yeah, kiss reality goodbye indeed. Very briefly, I'm going to. Well, I mean, I guess the trailer basically gave you the plot details, so I'm not gonna go too in depth. But basically, Full Moon tries to go trendy, tries to deal with virtual reality, and some would say fails spectacularly. But and this is a movie that we were. TC, you can chime in. We were so excited for this when they announced this, and then it originally had different graphics. I remember there was a trailer that I couldn't find that had different effects than the ones that appear in the movie. But we were so stoked for this when it was first announced.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it was. And the thing is that the movie's okay, I guess. not my favorite of the full movies, but I enjoy it for what it's worth. And back then, sadly, that's what graphics were for virtual reality and stuff. So I was actually top notch.
Yeah, top notch. Shot on video against the green screen. Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
go ahead.
Disney. Actually, the original effects for the CGI, which you saw in the original trailer, it's actually better than what we see in the actual film. That's because the CGI in that movie was too close to Tron. Disney threatened to sue, so they had to go back in and change the CGI.
Oh.
See, that makes sense because it kept on reminding me of Tron in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah.
That's really weird. I didn't know that. All right, Lady ShaSha, give us your thoughts.
I'm glad you came to me first because then I can continue my thought. It reminded me of Tron. If you were able to make Tron on a bus pass in Trident layers. This is Tron. This movie is so low budget. I couldn't, even for Full Moon. And the abuse of the smoke machine or fog machine, I don't know whether it was meant to look like fog or smoke, but the whole movie, I feel like they had this fog machine on. And I'm like, why? I don't remember going into an arcade and seeing all this fog, but okay. This is the first time watch for me, so I don't have the same nostalgia, although I vividly remember the trailer for this because it was on a lot of other Full Moon movies, but I just never got around to watching arcade. It was very interesting to watch, especially looking at Seth Green back when he was a little kid again.
He looks the same though.
Yeah, he does. And there's a girl in it, I don't remember the actress' name, but she was also in The People Under the Stairs. I liked her.
AJ Langer.
Yeah, this one. Did you pick this? Because I've avoided this movie for decades, and I finally sat and watched it, and I probably won't ever watch it again. But it's it's super 90s though. It did capture 1993, and it's like a time capsule of 90s culture. And the graphics were what we had back then. Like if you remember watching The Lawnmower Man, or I'm trying to think of any other movie that had graphics in the early 90s. This is what we had back then, and we were happy to have it. It was cutting edge.
So I shouldn't send you an arcade T-shirt and poster superset?
No. If I can choose a different Full Moon video movie for you to send me a poster.
No, sorry, only arcade. That's all. I've got a box of them. Okay, fair enough. LD, what are your thoughts on this film?
I'm definitely in agreement with Lady ShaSha because this felt like a low-budget Tron to me. You know, especially when they're in the game and they're wearing that outfit. It's like, oh, they took Tron Halloween costumes and spray painted them black. I can't be too critical of the graphics because, again, it's 1993 graphics, and like Lady ShaSha said, it's what we had back then. I was really excited to see John Delancey in the film because I'm a big Star Trek Next Generation guy, and Q is like my all-time favorite character from that series. So I was really excited to see him. Although I kind of felt like when we first see him, he was kind of like the villain, and he was like the one perpetrating all this, but it turned out not to be that way. I think the film, it is what it is. There was a lot of it that kind of didn't make sense to me. You're in a game and you're in a battle for your soul. So what do you have to do? Skateboard through a maze. Okay. All right. A compelling battle of life or death involving skateboarding through a maze. I hated the kid Nick. Again, another kid I hated. Not as much as Rabbit, but I did hate Nick a little bit. This kind of felt like something I would have seen on that old show, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Which I know, Master Chaos, you're a big fan of. It kind of had that feel for me. It's kind of like an Are You Afraid of the Dark episode, but with swearing.
Yeah, it was shot like a TV show. Like it felt like you were watching just an extra long TV show.
I know, right? Exactly. That's what it felt like to me. So. Yeah, it is what it is, and I did think that the last shot of the film made me laugh. The shot of the little kid saying, "Right here, bitch." That's
yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah, that's a good way to send the movie home for you. So
right,
yeah. So there you go. A lot of it didn't really make a lot of sense to me. kind of weird writing. The whole thing where they find I forget her name, but when they find their friend and she's like seeing angels while she's connected to the game, didn't get that either. But you know, it was what it was. You know, so there you go.
Fair enough. BC.
I thought that for the young cast, the acting was pretty good. I always like seeing Seth Green in films. He was good, and the kid with the glasses, I later picked up that he's the main character in the Christmas Story. What's the name of that actor again?
Peter Billingsley.
Peter Billingsley, yeah. He was very good in this. Megan Ward was excellent. Her character was named Alex. And I thought, like LD said, that skateboarding through a maze was kind of silly.
You try it.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of silly, but it was okay. And
Oh, he got taken by Arcade.
no, I'm looking at my notes.
Oh.
That the only two there's once you go to arcade and you're playing the arcade game, there's a little triangle, and each level is your further progression into the game until you reach the end. And there were only two real levels: the one with the skateboarding with the little spikes on the side of the wall, and the plane where they fly. Everything else, like there was one level where it's just he goes on like a ferry, the boat that's gonna take them across the sea. That's more like a riddle they gotta solve. And
well, there's that like wasteland thing where she falls in the swamp. That she sees her mom.
I thought that was silly. That in order to escape in a video game, jump down the hole and sink down into the water, the swamp. That's what she needed to do. I thought that in a game you never jump into a sinkhole, you know.
Every game.
Well, something I picked up in the film was there should be a suicide trigger warning, because I thought that was pretty graphic, where you find out that Alex, the main character, her mom committed suicide, and in the game when she's playing it, she has like this hallucination, and she sees her mom talking to her, and her mom shoots herself right there, and you see everything. And then I hope this movie is rated R, and it was, but it was obviously targeted at the video game players of the 90s, which they were mostly kids. I'm sure some adults played video games back then, but the whole cast is a bunch of teenagers, or they're playing teenagers. So I thought that the suicide thing was a little bit heavy. But then I did some research, and I noticed that the writer of this film, he wrote Batman Begins and the story for Dark Knight, and he also wrote Dark City. So
it's David S. Goyer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I noticed that, and it was silly when they're playing the arcade game. The key to the door is right there, next to the door, hanging on a little like thing. She has picks it up. Oh, there's the key. Open the door to the next level, and there's a scene where Megan Ward, and she plays a game in the Dante's Inferno, where because there's the video game console that they give for free that people take to their house and they play the arcade game, but then there's also the actual video game machine that you could only play like at the video store, Dante's Inferno, and you look into this viewfinder kind of thing, and you wear the gloves, and I thought it looked like it was only for one player, but there's a scene where two of them walk into the booth, and they said, "Oh, two people playing." And I thought that was a little bit silly. And then at the very end, the game forgot about the free life that Alex had, and to beat Arcade, Alex throws like this gizmo, which looked like a bunch of like
wires.
Like wires. Yeah, she throws it, and that's how she beats the game.
Spoilers, by the way.
I thought that was a little bit silly. But overall, good acting. I like seeing the characters in there, and like LD said, the actor that played Q, what's his name again, LD?
John Delancey.
John Delancey. Yeah, I know when I saw him, I knew I'd seen him someplace else before, but I couldn't quite place it. And then when you were giving your talk of the movie, I'm like, that's right, he's Q in Star Trek: The Next Generation. So I'm surprised how Full Moon, they started out humble, but they had Full Moon movies had a lot of actors that would go on to do really good stuff in the future, and actors that had done stuff in the past. Because the Peter Billingsley, he was first in the Christmas Story, and now he's in this. So Full Moon really had a lot of great actors working with them on their films. And I like the movie Arcade. And then when we go around again and we give our ratings, I'll let you know what I gave it.
Sounds like a plan. Okay, Aaron, let's hear it. Arcade.
I had a very different experience than anybody else so far. I'm going to put that out there right now. I was going to start with the David Escalia thing because that was going to be my bomb drop. So, just saying. But yes, I really, really enjoyed Arcade. It's a much darker film than you normally see with Full Moon. There's the suicide scene at the beginning of the film, which we also get in Puppet Master 3 too. That tends to be kind of like when they do the scenes like that tends to be how they go. But this is a loaded cast. Like the cast in this is freaking incredible. And as for like Megan, let's start with Megan Ward, because after watching Trancers 2 and watching her act in Arcade, yeah, I could see that she'd improved. She is a much better, much more fleshed out character in here than I'm the older person in the younger person's body. That was cool, that was cute, but this is a character. As a writer and somebody that acting was gonna be my jam, I really dug that. There's a lot of like soap opera actors in this film that went on to do other things. John Delancey, Q, got his start on Days of Our Life as Eugene, and of course so did Barbara Crampton. We got Peter Billingsley, who's fantastic in this. I think he's really good in this. Probably one of the better movies that I've seen him in. Sharon Farrell, she's in Night of the Comet, but of course she's another soap opera actress. We have Brian Datello. So if anybody ever watched Days of Our Lives, he plays Lucas on Days of Our Lives, and he has for years, kind of off and on. I think he's back on the show now. I don't watch it anymore, but he's really good. He's kind of like the boyfriend character who, he's out of the movie for like a large portion of it, where Peter Billingsley's character kind of like takes over. But I just really enjoyed the aesthetic and the way this was done. Now, this was obviously the Tron thing kind of hurt it, where they had to basically take it out because Tron was coming out. But they were there doing their thing first. And I have to remember when this was done, when you're looking at the CGI and stuff like that. Now, somebody mentioned, I think it was LD mentioned the fact that the skateboarding sequence, which wouldn't make sense except for one thing. We have to remember that the whole arcade thing, this isn't like a messed up program. This is done because they've taken somebody that's basically dead and they've taken their consciousness. A little kid that's been abused, by the way. That's the whole concept of the film, is an abused child that's basically dead and is put into like the sentient of arcade. So when you think, okay, he's skateboarding and there's spikes and stuff like that, yeah, because it's a kid that's doing this. So whereas we might have a more extravagant thought when it comes to like, okay, what are we going to do when it comes to like the when you're like that age, skateboarding is kind of, for me anyway, at that age, was my life. So yeah, it kind of made sense, that aspect of it. I found it really dark. I found it there's certain scenes that I found myself like looking at a couple times. So like I said, before we started this, I said I watched these movies a couple times. What I didn't say is that I went back and I watched certain sequences of Arcade over again. So I was different. I'm coming from a different place, I guess, when it comes to this, because I thought they were great. And like Sash mentioned, you got AJ Langer from People Under the Stairs in this movie, and I love her so much. It's just an amazing cast with, it's of its time. I know it's of its time, and maybe I got a little bit of nostalgia glasses because, I did see it back in the day when it originally came out. But it's darker than a lot of Full Moon stuff, and it goes places that some Full Moon stuff don't go. And I like that aspect of it, because we're dealing with teenagers and, supposed teenagers, right? With actual kind of like more teenage problems. Her, like, basically she, her mother is unfortunately gone. They're basically at the beginning, she's kind of told sort of to get over it type of thing, because you don't take it like so seriously. But this is the thing that goes on, unfortunately, in a lot of young people's lives. We have this arcade, like, evil creature being voiced by a guy. There's a lot of Full Moon villains, by the way, but it's like an abused child. Is the whole nexus of this. So it's not just like a computer program run wild or something like that. And it's neat that the cast John Delancey at a time when he did play quirkier characters and it was more of a villainous role. So you go in seeing John Delancey, you think, oh yeah, that's the bad guy, that's the villain, that's the corporate suit. And then it turns, and it doesn't do that at all. So it puts up these expectations, some good and some bad, and then it kind of pulls the rug under from what you think it's going to do. And it doesn't. One thing I love about this film, it does not play it safe in the way that it goes. From the opening of the film is a harsh, strong opening, to like the reasoning behind Arcade, to the aspect of like basically having the programmer not be a bad guy, like to come in and be part of the whole scenario. So yeah, I enjoyed that. There was actually a happier version of this ending film for this movie here, which would have totally sucked. But the little kid, and I think he's in like Three Amigos, actually. He the other guy was voicing him, of course, so he got to do the bitch thing. But it works for the film because this is this messed up character. So you have the what's been programmed into this game. You have this messed up like child, and it's just this weird concoction that you don't know where it's going to go or where they can go with it after that. They could have played it safe. She could have came out. She could have kissed her boyfriend. They could have went off and did their thing, and that would have been it. But I like that they put a little bit in there that it's not. I don't think it was sequel baiting, though I know Charles Band's famous for that. It was just a little kind of like it's still there. So the trauma's still there. Her trauma from her mom dying doesn't disappear because she played Arcade. The kid that got abused and died and got his mind put into Arcade, and that trauma is still there, and it's become worse because of this. It's a movie built on trauma, and it goes forward with it. And those are my thoughts anyway. I know I had a really different approach to it.
I love that. That's fantastic. Thank you. TC.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie as well, but it is quite dark. You have a title called Arcade. You figure, oh well, they're gonna be a lighthearted movie clearly, but you don't think it's gonna start with like a suicide. So that's like, but whatchamacallit. But one thing that's obvious, that you should never trust a game made by a Q, because that right there, it's gonna be problems. So, what else? I had forgotten completely though the whole concept of that they used the child's mind in the game. I completely forgot about that. At one point I thought it was like some kind of killer's mind kind of deal, but I totally forgot about that. So that was pretty different. It's a good thing they stopped making games like that too, because that wouldn't work nowadays. Yeah,
that would not be good.
But I agree. The acting, the acting was good. But the movie could have been a bit, I remembered it differently, I guess. It could have been a bit better, obviously. But, yeah, definitely, what's her name? Megan Ward did a lot better acting. I think they shot this was, I mentioned to you, MC, a bit ago, if you watch the video zone of Trancers, this movie was the one that was released right after Trancers 2. I mean, so they actually coincidentally they followed each other in the original release. So it's pretty it worked pretty well that you chose these two movies because that was interesting.
They're about 2 years apart too, which is weird. But
yeah, because I think that they were shooting this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? I mean, it does kind of take you out the graphics of the game, especially now. But at the same time, you have to go into it understanding that it's nothing compared to what we have today. So thinking of it with the mentality of way back when, I mean, it still kind of sucks, but it's still, but it was a good movie. It was all right. Not my favorite, but it was an okay movie.
But we were very excited for this when this was announced. We're like, oh man, a video game one? Yeah. This is gonna be crazy.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah.
Tony T says this film is almost like the film Nightmares, the segment with Emilio Estevez. That's right.
Oh yeah,
that's a good part. Full Moon Horror, we did mention that. We did mention David S. Goyer. And Katie, what's up? I hope you're well. Guys, go check out Katie, Popping the Popcorn. A really fun channel. Okay, Arcade is a movie I watched the hell out of at the time because of Megan Ward. And she's really good in the movie. You know, Peter Billingsley, I was like, oh my god, that's the little kid from Christmas Story. It's crazy. You know, and it's but he was kind of the everyman, so I can kind of like, you know, I could sort of see myself as him, you know, teaming up with her to figure out this video game thing. You know, video games were super popular at the time. The arcades were obviously thriving, and so I mean, it was definitely a movie of its moment, of its time, something that can't really be made nowadays. The only problem is the movie did not age well at all, and I hadn't seen it in like 20 years. I mean, it's been such a long time. It really did not age well, which is sad. It does have a great cast. Where we've talked about the cast, David Goyer and all that. And I was going to mention, BC, if you didn't do the research, that he did Dark City, but I saw that you grabbed that. I know Dark City is one of your favorites.
Yeah, it's a great film.
Mine too.
Oh, good. Some other interesting things about the movie. The score is by Alan Howarth, who took over for John Carpenter on the Halloween sequels, you know, writing the music for the Halloween movies. So he does the music for this. The film is directed by Albert Pyun, who is a very well-known genre filmmaker, Cyborg. Of course, the classic that everyone loves, Kathy Ireland, Alien from L.A., among many others. And then he went on to, I think he did Dollman. I think somebody mentioned it. He Dollman before or after this.
I think around at the same time.
Yeah, something like that. So you have a really smart director, somebody who understands movies, who makes fun movies. You have a writer who would go on to write epic fucking movies, like great stuff, you know, whether you like it or not or whatever. I mean, he wanted to have a massive career. So you have a perfect storm of ingredients from all these really talented people. But the movie itself, and, you know, from what I hear, Charlie Band doesn't really put his finger in the pie and you know, give a lot of notes. So it's weird that the movie is so flat. And that's just something I just, rewatching it really stuck out to me. The movie's really flat in terms of, and maybe it was the budget. It also feels very, very, very low budget. There's almost like two or three locations. And it felt like most of it, like the arcade stuff, was just shot on a green screen. They're standing there looking around in like motorcycle outfits. So it might have been the budget. It might have been the time schedule. It might have been a whole bunch of things. But the movie feels not as fulfilling story-wise as Trancers 2. Something I didn't mention with Trancers is that there's a lot of really good world building. There's a lot of mythology there. There's a lot of stuff that, you know, is built up and rewarded, like Alice dying in the past, or in the future technically, but she's saved right before she dies, so she comes to the present, and then Jack's like, look, you can't go back, you will die. So he gives her a second life. There's all those little elements that really put a sheen on it that make it really pop. Arcade doesn't really have those moments. It's very much, hey, there's a bad thing and we have to kill it, which is fine. Obviously it's outdated, you can't really question that. The one thing that really stuck out to me, this is a nitpick, is that the video game is called Arcade. Why would you do that? That's like having a killer, you know, a killer VHS tape, but it calls itself Video Store. That doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how that. I don't know what. I don't know why they would do that. So that always stuck out to me. And yeah, I agree with Lady ShaSha. The arcade was way overproduced. There's nobody would play in there unless everybody's smoking like a Vegas lounge. It's way too foggy. I mean, maybe it's again a budget thing. They only had like 3 machines, and they had a dark room, so they had to make it work. That's a possibility. But the movie's still charming to me, and again, it's nostalgia. Like Aaron was mentioning, I really liked this movie at that time. I watched it over and over again. I thought it was so cool. You know, I had dreams of fighting arcade monsters with Megan Ward. You know, this movie, you know, made me happy. You know, and it still has a soft spot in my heart. But if, you know, like I mentioned with LD, you know, if I saw Trancers without having any connection to it, if I had just come to this movie cold, it would be complete bottom of the barrel material, because it just doesn't fit to me. It just doesn't work. But because I love it so much, as from my younger days, there's a stronger connection to it, a stronger heartstring tie to it than I would have normally had with the movie, and that's why new full moon movies don't really do anything for me. Even though I know the people who make those, so I kind of had to say, hey, good job. But but I will say the Baby Oopsie movies, or I guess now it's a TV series, those are pretty fun. But maybe we'll talk, if we get to it, when Full Moon, I think, jumps the shark right after Shrunken Heads, then they go down the line. Then they literally fall into an oasis of pothead garbage. But the story for another time. Arcade. It's a flawed piece of work, a product of its time, but I still have a soft spot for it, which is strange. I thought I would turn completely against it, but I can't. Before I give you my ratings, let's go back around. Lady ShaSha, we'll start with you. Out of 5 moons, what are you going to give this puppy?
I'm giving it 3.5, and the half is for the acting, because the acting had no business being this good in a movie and also for the concept. I like the concept of the child's consciousness, especially after listening to Cult of Cinema kind of break it down more. It gave me more of an appreciation for the actual concept of the movie. So I think if I had seen this in 1993 when I was a teenager, I probably would feel the same way about it you do, because it feels like the type of movie that I would have loved as a teenager. But because I'm seeing it now, I don't think it's going to give me the same nostalgic kick that it would have had I seen it back in the day. And I think that's why I'm looking at it this way.
Oh, that's good. I mean, that's a lot higher than I thought, but that's good. Griff, that's a funny one. A restaurant called Food. Yeah. Yeah, same thing. Very strange. All right, LD.
So before I give my rating, there is one thing, because it's, and I guess this is kind of like a cool trivia question that maybe someone can answer. In the beginning of the film, there's an exterior shot of the high school, and I recognize it. Is that not the same high school they used in Full House?
I don't know.
I'm going to defer to BC, because you're the Full House guy, man. You have the house.
Yeah, either Full House or Saved by the Bell.
I don't remember, really. Yeah.
We'll say yes. We'll say yes.
Okay. Yeah, I tend to notice things like that. As for my rating, you know, I was originally going to give it 2 moons, but after watching it again, I actually have to give it 3 moons, because as critical as I was with it, I do have to admit I still actually had fun watching it. You know, I mean, I can't really say I didn't have a good time with this movie. I actually did. I think it's an overall good concept, and I did have the same thought as you, MC. Why are we going to make a video game and call it arcade? You know, but yeah, I still had fun watching it, and I'm obviously forgiving of the CGI, because you know it's 1993, and you know they use what they had back then. So yeah, 3 moons for me.
Very good. Okay, BC.
I'm gonna agree with LD and give it 3 moons. Also, I had fun watching it. There were things that could have been better, but I still had fun, so I'm gonna stick with Three Moons.
Okay. If arcade was at the arcade, would you have played it back in the day, BC?
Yeah, I think I probably would have. It would have been more than 25 cents though.
Oh yeah.
$2 on your soul.
Today it would probably be like 250 or more.
Oh yeah, no, it's
lot
ridiculously. Aaron, okay, rating.
Actually, I'm right on the same with ShaSha, to be honest with you. 3.5, which I think is a great rating for the movie as it is. Because, I can admit its flaws, even though it's filmed that I love. But there's just so much that I like to go back to. This is when Full Moon was still in peak Full Moon territory. Trust me, we will get to a Full Moon that you're going to be like, I'm going to struggle to give it a 1. But, and that'll eventually, unfortunately, happen. But I'm looking at you, later Ginger Dead Man films. But this I really, there's so much in this that I enjoyed. Is it perfect? My only really nitpick is what you said, is the name. It's like arcade. Like, here, play this arcade game in the arcade. Arcade.
Yeah.
Kind of, it stands out. Ellen Hor's score, I thought was pretty good. It's not like overbearing. I thought I did a really good job with that. And it made me want to go back and like check out Retribution again, actually. But yeah, I enjoyed it. 3.5.
3.5. I love it. All right, TC, bring it home.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow suit as well. 3.5 is pretty appropriate. I was just thinking, speaking of the plot and the name rather, if it would have made more sense if it was an arcade itself that was haunted by the same kid concept, and then the players would play different games, and the different games would be taken out, kind of deal. You know what I mean? That would
you can remake it now, so you have an idea.
Yeah, and then you can call it arcade, and it's not just
Right.
So.
I do have the ear of one of the line producers at Full Moon, and fingers crossed, I may be making a Full Moon movie, but I can't say too much because I don't really even know.
You gotta make sure you give TC a story by credit.
I will. I will mention. I mean, I think that would actually be something they'd go for. We could probably pull it off fairly cheaply. An arcade remake sequel.
Hey, that kid's still out there.
Possible.
That kid's still out there. So.
That kid's still out there, but he's like 50 years old now or whatever.
Or you could say he's suspended in time. He's got Arrested Development. He's stuck at that same age forever.
Yeah.
But then we have to find that. How do we do that? How do we?
Just get another kid, man.
Yeah, just get another kid.
We're not gonna look at his face. Put him in a game.
He's still around.
Or you could use a child's.
Come here, bitch.
You could use a child's body and then use the actor, like how they have Colin Robinson on What We Do in the Shadows, or the adult actor's face on the child.
Yeah.
So funny. Oh my god, love that. Okay, Tony T says I give the film 3 moons. Tony T, I'm gonna agree with you, LD, and BC. I'm going. Did you guys? You guys said 3 moons, right?
Yeah, 3.
All right, 3. I think 3. 3 for me. Right in the middle. I'm very proud of Arcade. This movie really landed in the middle for everybody, which is kind of nice. Nobody was like, complete garbage. I can't believe I subjected myself to it.
We haven't gotten to Shrunken Heads yet.
Well, we haven't gotten there yet, no. Oh.
Do you know that was supposed to be their first theatrical feature?
Yep.
Big on that.
No way.
Terrible. Oh, so that was the first Full Moon movie. We were so excited. The first Full Moon movie we ran to, we're like, this is garbage. What is happening? And then those were the dark times. But hopefully we don't get there anytime soon. Okay, Arcade. Congratulations, Arcade. You landed it right in the middle. I'm very happy. And now comes the time. We haven't done this on another panel show, but we'll do it. We'll start it with this one. I'm gonna go around and you guys pick which was your favorite of the two. I'll start with TC.
Trancers 2.
Okay, Aaron.
God, I like them both. Arcade for weird reasons. Trancers 2 is a better film overall, but I just enjoyed Arcade more.
Gotcha. Okay, BC.
Trancers 2. Yeah.
Okay. LD.
I gotta go with Arcade.
Oh, Squid.
Wow. Okay, so we've got a tie right now. Okay, Lady ShaSha.
Arcade.
Oh wow! Well,
Shocking.
it's a full tie because I'm going Trancers too. So the movies are tied. That's fine. I love it. Tony Man says I can't wait for Killjoy Goes to Hell and Corona Zombies. Oh
Wait.
man!
Wait.
Corona Zombies. Oh Lord. I actually know the guy who wrote that, and I might actually invite him on the show. But then that might affect us if we don't like the movie. We're like, oh yeah, the script is terrible.
I would feel bad for saying something negative in front of him. I
Yeah,
would still
alright.
do it, but I would feel bad.
That's why we love you. That's amazing. All right, well, we've come to the end of episode 1. Now comes the time where we pick the next host. And it'll be process of elimination. So last person on the wheel will be host of episode 2. At that point, whoever wins will tell us what the next 2 movies are. Here we go. Who is first out? Oh!
Uh-oh.
TC is out.
That's okay.
All right. Woo! They cheered for you.
He's gone.
Get that son of a bitch out of here. All right. Is it ready? Can I do it again? Okay, here we go. There we go. Oh, LD! LD's out.
I
All
know,
right.
it's because I didn't like Rabbit. I know.
That's exactly why.
That's exactly why you were out.
All right, here we go. Oh, BC.
Oh my.
All right. So the next episode will either be on Aaron's channel or Lady ShaSha's channel. Here we go. Oh, I think Aaron wins. Aaron! All
That's what
right.
you thought every time it was going to land on me. It's
We
just
can watch Transfers 3 now. We can watch Transfers 3 now.
There you
All
go.
right. So Aaron will be hosting episode 2 on his channel. Aaron, why don't you tell us what the movies are that you've selected for us to enjoy?
I chose 2 sequels.
Okay.
And actually, no, I didn't. I chose a sequel and an original because I wanted to do something different. One that I think is completely underrated in the franchise, and one that I think is the absolute best that that franchise ever did, and they never made anything better, even though they made a bunch of movies afterwards. So for the first one, we got Subspecies.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Is a favorite of mine, and I think that's the best in the series. And for the underrated sequel, because I want to go somewhere different with that, Puppet Master 2.
Oh,
Okay.
2.
2, yeah, the horror one. Like everybody goes, "Oh, 3 is the greatest of all time," and all that time. Now we're gonna go for the horror one where we introduce Torch. And,
Okay.
well, we'll talk about that more. We know what Torch does, so
I'm so
Okay.
happy because he picked one of mine.
Oh,
Oh.
I was gonna say
Sorry.
subspecies also. So
Well, there's a
so
couple of
good.
sequels
I'm
you can
happy.
pick those.
you know, it's funny. Lady ShaSha, when you said it's not my favorite horror series, I'm like, she's gonna pick Subspecies.
You knew.
You're like, I was like, I'm pretty sure. Okay, that's great. So episode 2 is gonna be over on the Cult of Cinema. We'll pick a date down the line. Aaron will make the announcement. We'll do it on all our socials and things here, and let you guys know when it is. And we're gonna be watching. We'll not be watching. We'll be discussing Subspecies and Puppet Master 2. Very interesting that we've done sequels. I like that. Well, I'll save it because I have a problem with part 2. But I'll save it for the discussion.
that makes
Is
it
it the
interesting.
Barbie doll guy?
Yeah, kind of. Well, the ending, but we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Okay, that's great. This was so fun. I love reliving this era of my cinematic childhood with you guys. It was such a pleasure. So let me go around and touch base with my YouTubers. and they'll tell you a little bit about their channels and what they do and what's coming up next. Lady ShaSha, kick it off.
Okay, my channel is called What Did I Just Watch? It's one of my channels, and I do horror reviews, sci-fi reviews, and sometimes thriller reviews. Tomorrow I'll be back on here live streaming at 4 p.m. Eastern, and it's an Akira live stream where we'll be talking about the 1988 anime film Akira, as well as I do have some guests that are more familiar with the manga as well, so we'll be talking about that tomorrow. On Mondays, I'm on Hood Podcast, where we talk about news stories of the strange, international news stories of the strange. And this past Monday, we talked about the AI rapper FN Mecca, a floating train in China, and a dude who tried to sell organs on Facebook Marketplace. So that's what we do on Hood Podcast. And then on my other channel, which is called Fashion Freak TV, I'm covering 90 Day Fiance, which, if you know 90 Day Fiance, it's a mess. So you can check me out there.
I don't know it, but I'm pretty sure it's a mess. I can tell.
It's a mess.
Just from the name. Jeez. LD's a fan. Looks like, oh yeah.
No, but my in-laws are. My in-laws are a fan of 90 Day Fiance.
Gotcha. Excellent, guys. Links for all the YouTubers are in the description, by the way. LD, what do you do and what's next?
Well, my YouTube channel is called LD Madeira Magic. I'm a magician, and you can find a lot of great magic tricks on there. I've also started adding some other stuff onto the channel. Like I just added, MC mentioned how I went to the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser. I have that entire trip in 3 parts that you can enjoy on there too. And I will soon be starting a new channel with my wife. I'm going to let that be a little teaser for now. But for now, definitely check out LD Madeira Magic. Love to have you there.
Excellent. Aaron, not that we need a primer, but go ahead and tell us a little bit about your channel.
Year number 10. It's well, you look under my name, Aaron Pynn, or that's Pynn, or Call to Cinema. I do a lot of stuff on films. I also do a lot of stuff on comics as well. One of the things that I did mention about Full Moon that I will mention right now is how one of the ways I got introduced into indoctrinated into the whole Full Moon thing is I was going to open a comic shop. And one of the things that I wanted to do that was different is I wanted to sell Full Moon cards and Full Moon merchandise and all the stuff that they had out there. So I actually called Full Moon at the time. And they had, I expected to get a secretary, but it was actually one of the girls that acted in the movies that answered the phone. So yeah, I started I was going to, it didn't go through, unfortunately. So I didn't get to make the comic shop. So I do comics, movies, and every once in a while I'll do I'll switch it up a bit and I'll do a little bit of a tech review, that type of thing, but mostly cinema and comics are my big thing. I like the visual medium.
I love it. Fantastic stuff. And I'm not huge into comics, but I always like checking out your comics videos because I find them fascinating. I'm more into manga stuff, so the Akira stuff is very interesting to me, Lady ShaSha. But absolutely go check them out, guys. Links in the description. Casey says 2 was amazing, good choices. There you go. So stay tuned for that. Full Moon Horror is going to wish us much success. Thank you so much for tuning in. Full Moon Horror, if you're connected with Full Moon, leave me a comment. Maybe we can get in touch, and who knows, maybe maybe we can have you on the panel. Okay, as for TCMBC, they don't have channels, but they hang out here. So I'll just ask them, what are you guys doing tonight? What are you gonna watch, BC?
I was thinking about watching. Is Malignant still on HBO Max? Because if it is, I probably want to watch that one.
I don't know.
That's directed by James Wan, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I've heard good things about it, and I want to watch that. So.
Let me just tell you what happens. It's okay. So at the
No, don't do that. But I do have a spoiler review. If you guys want to check out my spoiler review, where I did compare it to another movie that's very similar to it from the early '80s.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, which movie is that?
No, you can't. You
If I
can't.
tell you, it's a spoiler.
Yeah. No. That's good. Okay, TC, what are you up to?
I'm just gonna catch up on a bunch of movies that I got. So
that's
I'm
good.
those Severance that I got, still haven't finished all of those yet. So.
Oh yeah. Excellent. Well, as for me, I have a lot coming. I'll throw in a couple mentions of what's happening. Tomorrow, I usually pre-record these but it's going to be very busy. We're redoing our kitchen, so I just have a lot of stuff to do, but I really wanted to do this anyway. So we're going to do it live tomorrow night, late night, Super Scary Saturday, live, the 25 craziest, scariest creatures cut on video. Join me for that. That's going to be freaky. It's going to be really late at night, so hopefully you'll stay up and join me for that. Then next week, next Wednesday, episode 5, Voyage to the Bottom of the Barrel, with BC as our host. We're watching, we'll be discussing Begotten and Bad Magic, for better or worse. And then coming next week, part 2 of my Doris reviews, The Amazing Transplant, and the movie that made me almost throw up, Let Me Die a Woman. Wait, wow.
You got a rough week. Just starting off with Begotten, I'm just like...
I'm surprised people have heard about Begotten.
Oh, I got one of my subscribers requested that I review Begotten. Well, the thing is, when I started my channel, the very first movie that I reviewed was Martyrs. So I already started with a certain precedent.
You think that's bad? Watch this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then Sunday, I haven't filmed it yet, but Sunday, in-depth review of Forgotten Gialli Volume 5.
You know you love this.
Spoiler alert, I didn't like it. But but I'll go into details why. All right. My panel, thank you so much. You guys rock. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you sharing that time with me. Aaron, we'll talk. We'll see if maybe we can start up a group chat on Instagram or something so we can all figure out a date that works out for episode 2 on your channel. And we'll all meet over there for the next round. Sound good?
Awesome.
Yep.
All right. Fare thee well, everybody watching at home. Take care of yourselves. Remember, I love you just the way you are. We care about you. Take care of yourselves. And if you find yourself being gifted a video game called Arcade, tell them to change the name. It's a stupid name. Why would they call it Arcade? Anyway, see you around. See you down the line.